I call the Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 Board of Education meeting to order. Kevin, can you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item one.
I just want to get
Minutes, the regular meeting, January 14th. Could I have a motion to approve, please?
Make a motion to approve the minutes, regular meeting of January 14th, 2025.
And could I have a second? Christine? Okay. Any discussion, corrections? Take a minute to look it over. Any corrections? No? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. Unanimous. Okay, item two, the approval of the minutes for the special meeting on January 31st.
Kevin Saitani.
Yep.
I move to approve the minutes from January 31st, 2025.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
Greg Perry, I will second the motion to approve the minutes from the January 31st meeting.
Okay. Again, take a moment to look it over and see if there's any corrections that need to be done. Okay, hearing no corrections, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. And I'll turn it over to Acting Superintendent Lassard for the recognition awards.
Thank you. Okay. So we have a couple of extra ones today. So I'm just going to invite everyone, and we have our speakers for MLK. So I just want to invite everyone to stay afterwards, and then we'll take pictures. We'll take a little break at some point. So I'm going to start with the key is me. Therese Foss, pre-K teacher, Moriarty.
She's like 1 minute away.
She's one. Okay, we'll see her. We'll get back to her. We'll do the I Make a Difference. And I believe Miss Mabel is in the house. Is she in the house? Where is she? There she is. So I Make a Difference, Miss Mabel. Everybody knows Miss Mabel. She is our district-wide extended learning director. She was nominated by Melissa Brooks. She's probably one of my favorite people at Norwich Board of Education. I am honored to nominate Miss Mabel for the I Make a Difference Award. Mabel consistently goes above and beyond in her role within the Extended Learning Department, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to excellence. She continually finds creative and effective ways to support her colleagues and our students. Her dedication to student success is evident in her countless hours devoted to the after-school program, always stepping in to help whenever needed. Mabel's positive attitude and collaborative spirit uplift everyone around her. That's the truth, making her a true asset to our team. Mabel embodies the very essence of this award, and her remarkable contributions deserve to be recognized. She is an outstanding colleague and an inspiring role model who continually makes a lasting positive difference, and she makes everyone smile. That's what she does. This is it. Don't go anywhere, Miss Mabel. We'll meet you out here. Thank you. All right. Is she here yet?
Not yet.
Okay. We will go to You Inspire Me. Abigail Santana, grade 6 student at, come on up, Teachers Middle School. Mr. Lavoy here too, you can come on up too, Mr. Lavoy.
Yeah, Bill, how are you?
Nice to meet you. All right, Abigail. So this was, you were nominated by Shannon Sigtini, who is our attendance coordinator, family engagement. I am honored to recommend Abigail Santana for the You Inspire Me Award. Abigail's unwavering strength, resilience, and kindness truly make her an inspiration to all who have the privilege of knowing her. Despite facing significant challenges at home, Abigail approaches life with a positive spirit and a passion for learning and creativity. Living with a single mother who has experienced health struggles, she has stepped up to provide care and support while still excelling in school. Her ability to balance these responsibilities, improve her attendance, and remain dedicated to her education is nothing short of remarkable. Abigail's passion for art is a testament to her creativity and perseverance, and she uses it as an outlet to express herself and inspire others. She is a role model among her peers, constantly encouraging them to strive for their best selves. Her positivity is infectious, and her kindness and dedication remind me daily of the power of resilience and determination. Through her actions and attitude, Abigail has inspired me to be a better person every day. I wholeheartedly recommend her for the You Inspire Me recognition. Your mom's here, right?
Yeah.
Where is she? Don't bear too, Mom, because you deserve this. Outside, okay? All right. Is she here yet? Therese, come on up. Corey, you want to come up too? You nominated her? So, hi Therese, come on up. How are you?
Good, how are you?
You made it in time.
Hi.
All right. And Corey Beckwith. So Therese was nominated by Corey Beckwith, who is our pre-K director. Therese has been instrumental in the revival of our preschool program. She is a strategic and thoughtful designer and implementer of specially designed instruction and is working in a non-traditional teacher role where she supports our 12-month preschool program at Moriarty School. She assessed the needs of the program and made her role into one that includes teaching, supporting children with challenging behaviors, and working with specialists to design tools to meet the needs of our youngest learners. She consults, guides other staff, and shares a Tuesday Tidbits email with others. Preschool has added our 14th and 15th classrooms, and these could not have opened without her help. She moved furniture, set up the classrooms, designed schedules, and made materials. She is the kind of teacher who figures out how she can contribute to the greater good of our program. She selflessly meets the challenge, and we would not be who we are without her. Thank you. I got something for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of extra awards today. Mr. Matt Brown, come on up. So we have a special certificate of recognition. I think everyone knows Matt Brown is our facilities director. And I received an email from one of our custodians. And this is what I got. Hi, Susan Lassard and Robert Sapinski. I needed to tell you about a person that stood by me when things were really rough outside of work. This person was there for me every step of the way, day or night, if I needed time to do what I needed to do or help or just someone to talk to. To me, this is going way above the scope of the job. It's being human and with all heart and understanding. I needed to tell you this because I don't know how others see Matt Brown. We see you pretty good. But for me, I'm proud to say I work for Norwich Public Schools under the direction of Matt Brown. A special thank you to Matt Brown. Without his support and understanding my situation, I don't know if I could have made this transition as smooth as it did. Thank you for the time in reading this, and I just wanted you to know how he stood by me all the way. Okay. We have a new award, February Volunteer of the Month. Jennifer Johnson, I know is here. Jennifer Johnson. Hi again. Hi. How are you? Okay, so Jennifer Johnson comes into our school. She's from Veterans. She comes into our school with a smile on her face and plenty of hugs to give. She knows every student's name and takes time to build relationships with them. There is not a task she won't help with. Our staff all breathes a collective sigh of relief when they see Jennifer because she brings a sense of calm to the air around us. Jennifer was a big part in getting our food pantry up and running, making it safe and welcoming place for our families to get their necessities. Jennifer is a veteran's eagle through and through. Jennifer often brings with her little treats to brighten up the days of the hardworking staff here at Vets. Not to mention, she makes a killer loaf of bread. She does all of this is my favorite line, she does all of this with a sense of humor that can border seriousness, which brings a fun twist to any interaction. Thanks for all you do, Jennifer. We couldn't do it without you. Congratulations.
It really is an honor and privilege to be part of the Vets team.
Do we have them?
School faculty.
All right, let's start with, where's Principal Lumpers? Do you want to bring up the first MLK reader?
Are we switching orders? Did you want the middle school update?
Which one are we doing first?
We can do the middle school updates.
Wanna do that one
it's on
first?
the agenda first.
I'm gonna do whatever.
Okay,
Alex tells me to do. So we'll do, right? How smart. All right, so we'll do the updates from the middle school first?
Yeah. And if you could just give the board your first names and the schools you represent.
Hi, I'm Carolina Colazzo, and I represent Kelly Middle School.
Hi, I'm Kaylani Clark, and I represent Teachers Memorial.
Thank you. So we're going to be telling you what our middle school activities were lately. Congratulations to our Nexus Scholar winners, Gabby Desir and Divine A, who were recognized at NFA during the Martin Luther King Jr. Luncheon, hosted by the Norwich chapter of the NAACP. They will read their speeches at this event's meeting. Our 8th graders are beginning to receive acceptance notifications from area high schools, and there's so much excitement in the building as we look to the future. Our 8th grade counselor, Mr. Kogor, is pleased to report that 88% of our 8th graders have completed their high school applications. Our basketball season is coming to a close, and our students have done a very great job. Volleyball and track seasons are coming up next, and students are very excited. This month, with the input of Student Council, Kelly has rebranded the previous Fun Friday into Cougar Pride Day, in addition to staff hosting events. Student Council members are participating as hosts of fun events for their peers. Our goal with the rebrand was more student participation and active involvement. We are very excited. This week is Valentine's Day, Spirit Week. Some themes include the Perfect Pair Day, Love Your School Day, and Peace and Love Day. Thank you.
Last week, students participated in a Spirit Week with several different themes, including Rep Your Culture Day, Early 2000s Day, and Global Spirit Day. We are currently participating in a grade level penny wars competition. The PTO is running a carnation sale, and the 8th grade is running a Valentine's Day balloon sale. Both will be delivered on Friday. We had our first Panther Club Day on January 31st, where students got the opportunity to try 3 different clubs around the school during the afternoon sessions. Our 8th grade our 8th graders are beginning to receive acceptance notifications from area high schools. 86% of our 8th graders have completed their high school applications. Panther Pride Days are Panther Pride has made some guest appearances celebrating our students for celebrating their Panther Pride in school. The students versus staff basketball game is scheduled for February 21st. The game is a great way to close out an awesome season for the basketball and cheer teams. Tops is hosting their first ever sneaker ball on February 27th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Students come dressed in their favorite sneakers and celebrate Black History Month.
Yeah, she wants to bring up the music. All right, if you could just give us your name and the grade that you're in.
Good evening. My name is Divine Anigora, and I am in 8th grade at Kelly Middle School.
Good evening. My name is Gabby Desir, and I'm in 8th grade at Kelly Middle School.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was not just a father, a husband, or a pastor, but a leader of the people. A leader that fought for what was right. A leader who believed in uniting despite what race you were, standing up to segregation and fighting for equality. A leader who believed in nonviolence and said, in spite of temporary victories, violence never brings permanent peace. A leader who taught us to love others and not to bring forth hate, because in the end, love will always win. And most importantly, a leader who taught us to believe. Dr. King taught me to believe and to keep moving forward no matter what the situation is or what threats may come. He continued to fight and protest for equality, whether he was threatened, beaten, or thrown in prison. Even with all these battles he came face to face with, he still believed that violence wasn't the answer and continued his mission of love thy enemy. Dr. King stayed truthful to this belief. Since he stayed truthful to this belief, he was able to make a change in both laws, hearts, and minds. A change in mankind, a change within his community, and a change around the world. His determination made a change in history. Because of him, many of us are able to be seated here together. If Dr. King never fought for what he believed in, where and how would we be seated today? Because of the lessons of Dr. King, I believe and know what is right. I can stand up to what I know is wrong and create a solution to try and turn it around. If we all took one lesson from Dr. King and tried it, we could make the world a better place. Thank you.
To me, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is more than just an idol or a figure. I see him as a foundational core for human rights for modern day America and one of the most influential freedom fighters for the civil rights movement. Dr. King fought for human rights and freedoms not just in the United States, but inspired people on a global scale. Dr. King was extremely hardworking and a loving person with values that supported his beliefs, which were that no matter who you were or where you came from, you deserve to live in a world where you'll be treated the same as every other human being. Dr. King dedicated his life work to making his ideals become realized with each passing day, working tirelessly to make a change in this world, no matter how hard or impossible it would seem. Dr. King and his leadership helped spread the belief that the only true way to make a lasting change in this world for the better is to spread love and not hate. Dr. King wanted to create a world where things like violence, poverty, and oppression did not exist. Dr. King recognized that in order to change people's hearts, he had to spread his ideals of love and forgiveness, even if in doing so, he risked his own personal safety. But Dr. King never thought only for himself, but for every single person around him. Dr. King's process also reflected his personal beliefs on love and forgiveness with his nonviolent protests. In conclusion, I believe that Dr. King had a profound impact on the development and success of the civil rights movement and the fight for equality and fair treatment all across the globe, inspiring new generations of freedom fighters everywhere across the planet.
There's some certificates for you. I know that at the MLK luncheon at NFA, you guys got a lot of these, but I'm going to give you an extra one from Norwich Public Schools. So thank you and congratulations. We'll have Mr. Boyd moving next.
Um, you have to introduce yourself. Once again, I am Kaylani Clark at Teachers Memorial. We must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish as fools. That is a quote directly from Martin Luther King Jr. that I still live by today. I believe that without equality in our world, more hatred and more tragedies will happen all over. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. preached equality and rights for everyone regardless of race or ethnicity. And I strongly believe that we should keep this system today as there's still so much hate that goes around, especially in current times today. We still see so much hatred being spread among others in schools, in jobs, and discrimination still happens whether we believe we fought it or not. To me, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is the prime example of a foundation and why our civil rights movement has been so progressive in the past years since he's done his speaking. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is the core reason why I, as a mixed eighth grader in middle school, have the opportunity to be able to sit here and in front of all of these people and perform a speech for an incredible opportunity to get for a scholarship at for a scholarship. I sincerely believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s teachings are essential for us to live by and remember for as long as we as a society shall progress, because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself was a father, a son, and had a job like everyone else, as do every other single colored person in the world. We shouldn't be judged based off of what hair type we have or or what color is our skin. And 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 he and he thank you. And he and he is a very big role model for me, as I myself have faced a lot of discrimination and microaggressions due to my appearance and my background as a Black person. And I really hope that we as a nation, as a society, can be able to move on from all of the past hatred and discrimination that we have built ever since the beginning of America, even in colonial times. And in conclusion, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an essential part of where we are today in our civil rights acts, and he is the he is the prime reason the he is the foundation to why we've come so far in allowing colored children such as myself to be able to live as members in society who have jobs, have families, and can build a life in our country without and without hatred, and in our country, regardless of what what our background is or where we came from. Thank you.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Um, I'm Zariah Prue from Teachers Middle School. Okay.
Take a moment, compose yourself.
You got it.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Upon receiving this recognition and learning more about Dr. King, I was energized by this quote. It reminded me that a meaningful life is not just about personal success, but about how we uplift those around us. I would not be standing here today without the love and constant support of my mother. She has always been there for me, encouraging me, guiding me, and setting the example of the person I strive to be. Her strength and kindness inspire me to work hard, to be compassionate, and to use my voice in ways that make a difference. This moment is not just about an award, it's a reminder that we all have the power to create change, to advocate for what is right, and to support one another. I'm grateful for this honor, but even more, I'm grateful for the lessons it represents. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a few minutes. We're going to go out in the hall with the award winners, take a few photos, and then we'll be right back. Thank you. Okay. Amber, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
No, we don't have anybody signed up. It's just.
Okay. Would anyone like to speak for public comment? Would anyone like to speak for public comment? And one last time, would anyone like to speak for public comment? Hearing none, I now declare public comment closed. Okay, that leads us to the reports. First up is my report. Good evening. Thank you all for coming out and participating in your local government. We appreciate your input and interest to allow us to make your schools the best they can be. We do listen and learn from every suggestion. It really does take a village to support our kids. While we're in the midst of an active winter weather pattern, maybe an inch of snow tonight, more is expected in the mid-Atlantic, and some possible delays. Keep in mind that it's only 36 days to spring. Better days are just around the corner, and the march of time is relentless. You will notice that a couple of board members are missing tonight due to seasonal illness. It is not too late to renew your vaccinations, especially if you suffer from other medical conditions. Please wear a mask if susceptible or if you are contagious. Since our last meeting, there have been some major changes in our country and the world that may affect us here in southeastern Connecticut. We have a new president, well, a redux of a previous president, the first non-consecutive term since Grover Cleveland. Donald Trump has been very active with executive orders and actions, some of which are arguably not following proper established legal procedures. It is clear that some of his actions and appointments will affect and remake portions of the federal government and require some shifting in domestic and international relations. We will have to adapt to new realities. Hopefully, a respect for the Constitution will win out and temper some of the more heavy-handed actions. Let's hope any economic changes help us and not add to our tax burden. Change was promised, and that is certainly what we have. If you haven't heard, our Assistant Superintendent, Tamara Gloucester, has agreed to resign and search for other opportunities elsewhere. She'll be receiving a bi-weekly pay until she finds other employment, ending at the end of June otherwise. We thank her for her service to our kids, and as she is no longer employed, the investigation into her past actions is ended, as we do not investigate former employees per board policy. On the local front, we're in the midst of budget season, trying to figure out how to run our schools within our available means. We're trying to limit the effects of certain reductions in expected revenues for this current budget season. Money is tight, taxes are higher, and we're cognizant of where we live and the limitations of the citizens of Norwich. While money is always an issue, the support of our parents, elected officials, and community members is always appreciated and welcomed. We have more volunteers in our schools. The new school building program is progressing, and our elected representatives are working hard to give Norwich the support it needs. Last week, both the administration and your board testified before the Special Committee for Special Education at a listening tour meeting at Three Rivers College, advocating for our kids. I also attended events honoring Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrating the Lunar New Year. I believe that diversity is not an evil word, but the strength of our community that should be explored and celebrated and will open opportunities for our students in the future. As always, I like to celebrate holidays and mention birthdays. Today is both National Inventors Day and Thomas Alva Edison's birthday. Edison gave us the phonograph, the movie camera and projector, electrical power distribution, and the electric light bulb. In all, he held 1,093 patents, the most for any one individual. Not bad for a guy who was mostly homeschooled, attended school for just a few months, and never attended higher education. Due to illness at age 10, he lost hearing in one ear and was nearly completely deaf in the other. He lived and died of complications from diabetes. Despite his limitations, he became our greatest inventor. Also, it's National Guitar Day, Peppermint Patty Day, and Shut-In Visitation Day. So take your guitar and sing a song to a shut-in while enjoying some peppermint patties. I hope you've all had a peppermint patty that I passed out today. Other birthdays are the Harley Davidson co-founder Arthur Davidson, singers Gene Vincent, Bobby Boris Pickett, Sheryl Crow, and the actors Burt Reynolds, Jennifer Addison, Taylor Lautner, and 92-year-old Tina Louise, the last surviving cast member from Gilligan's Island. Finally, I'd like to invite everyone to a coffee chat with school administration here in the community room on February 27th at 5:30. This is a chance to directly talk with school staff on a one-to-one basis. A light dinner will be available. Now we move on to the report from our acting superintendent.
All right, we'll start with, we went to a special education public hearing at Three Rivers at February 4th. It was a listening tour. I believe there's 4 tours. It started at Three Rivers. It was with the Legislative Special Ed Committee. Those in attendance and those who spoke, Lisa, who's not here today because she's sick, Dr. Hughes is out, so it was Dr. Hughes, myself, and Bob Serpinski that spoke about some of the special education problems that we're having now or experiencing with money. Also in attendance was Mr. Kulos, Mr. Ivino, Mr. Perry was there, our mayor was there, Representative Wilson, Alderman Singh, and then we also had some staff members who were there in support. So some of the points that we made and were talked about, there was family members there that spoke about special education. And it's really been in the paper, I'm sure that you've seen it, is the excess cost that we're not getting. So we'll be talking about that. Bob will talk more about that when he does his report. Trying to control the outplacement costs, which are going up every year. I think we talked about this last year. EastCon raised their rates 15%, and there's still 3 million plus in the hole. So a lot of us talked about that, and really what came out of that, Dr. Hughes did a nice job of talking about our new Rose City School, which actually made the front news, the paper of the day paper. It was a really nice article, thank you, Claire. And really talking about how what they want to do is give more funds to start up a school like Rose City School, and we will be expanding that. And we did field a lot of questions around that from the legislators who are at the table about our new Rose City School and how we're trying to control special education costs. So that was positive. It was filmed. It's out there. I'll have Amber add it to our board docs. So if anybody wants to watch some of the points that were brought up there, a lot of parents spoke there too, which was the most important part for the parents. Transportation update. In the board docs, we just wanted to talk about the snow bus. Remember that we changed this for January, February, and March. We're into February now. Again, Snow Bus 1 is the west side of town, like Asylum Street, and then Snow Bus 2 is in the Greenville area. So you can take a look at that. There's 71 students routed for Snow Bus 1 and 56 for 2, and we are keeping track of the students that are riding the bus and the AM and PM. So that's there, and I know we have a committee, and I know, I think Greg will talk about that afterwards. The next item is a letter to administrators was sent out today for a budget freeze. Bob will speak a little bit to that later too, but we're looking at between a $300,000 and $500,000 shortfall. And most of the reason that it is from the not only getting 64.19% instead of the 70%, or really the 91% that's due, but we did put 70% for this budget. So I did send that out today. So the primary contributors to the deficit are the special education cost reimbursement and the administrative investigation. So we have put a budget freeze, and Bob will speak more to that when he speaks a little bit later. Preschool update, you have that in front of you. I will tell you that 89% of school readiness slots are filled as of February 7th, so that's great news. Corey did a nice job. Her and her team did a really nice job. They completed and submitted their application for NIAC, which is the National Association for the Education of Young Children. For that accreditation, that was a lot of work. So the teams of preschool teachers have been working tirelessly to complete the portfolios and prepare their rooms for this high-level observation by the National Accrediting Body for the Education of Young Children. The submission of our application opens a 6-month window, so at any time they can be observed between now and July. And they will give us a 15-day window and a 24-hour window prior to the visit. Again, this year, the new law requires children to be 5 years old by September, and we'll be doing the same thing we did last year. So if a child turns 5 after September 1st and before January 1st, 2026, parents would like to request early entrance to kindergarten in the fall of 2025, they can submit a request via Google form to schedule a consultation with Norwich Public Schools early childhood team. The deadline to submit the kindergarten early entrance request will be March 16th, and that's a hard deadline. Requests submitted after this date will only be accepted for children who enroll in the district after March 16th. The kindergarten early entrance request is in the process of being translated into our primary languages of Norwich and will go out soon. And again, I've repeated this for every single board meeting. The state requires ample notice to the board, and this is why we keep repeating this. We have a desire to move our Family Resource Center from Mahan to Moriarty, in part to provide services to our 12-month program, which serves students from across the district. This will eventually require board approval. So again, I'll keep repeating that until we get that. Certified staff vacancies, it's the same vacancies that we've talked about that are very hard to fill. It's the grade 7 science at teachers, grade 7 math at Kelly, grade 8 science at Kelly. We have a resource teacher at Stanton that's open, team special education teacher at Kelly, and team special education teacher at Stanton. So you can see it's the same science, math, and special education, which are really hard to fill. I do want to say that the last item that I'll talk about is the CAPS, which is the Superintendent Award. There's a 5th grader from each school, an 8th grader from each middle school, and a student from NTA. This year we're going to have a dinner at Kelly Middle School. I know we've done it differently over the years. We used to have it in the auditorium over here, and then I know that we had the parents come in with the students for a few months in a row. This year we're gonna do it, really nice dinner for them, and you all Board of Ed are invited. The students are invited with 2 members of their family. So please let Amber know if any of you would like to be on that. It's going to be February 25th at 6 p.m. And now, I think we have Yulitza. She's still here. She didn't sneak out, did she? Yulitza, where are you? Yulitza, come on up. So Yulitza is our So I'll let her introduce herself, but I know we have a slideshow for her to show, and she has some really new great things happening in Norwich Public Schools that she's really proud of, and we're really proud of, so we're gonna have Yulitza speak to that.
Yes. Is the mic on or do I have to?
You gotta put it close to you. We'll wait for the slideshow to go up, Joe.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So my name is Yulitza Brooks. I am the Communications, Family Engagement, and Coordinator for Norwich Public Schools. So tonight, I just want to share with you guys some upcoming events, some volunteer opportunities, and introduce the NPS Loft. So we have what I started, it's called the What's Happening calendar, which I also include in our monthly newsletter. In that newsletter, we also have community events. We have all our district events. We also have links to our NPS online apparel store, and we also have a link for volunteers to sign up. So some of the volunteer opportunities at NPS is you could assist in the classroom, you could join the PTO, you could assist with special events, join the after school, or even chaperone at a field trip. So here's a chart of all the volunteers and at all the schools. You can see Uncas has 3, Stanton has 15, Veterans have 17, Wequanic 7, Mahan 14, Huntington 10, Moriarty 14th, Global 11, and Kelly 4. So now I would like to introduce the NPS Loft. So the NPS Loft started when Mabel and I visited NFA's Loft. And when I was speaking to Leo Butler, he mentioned that the NFA Loft is run by their students. The students does the inventory, they organize the loft. So I said, why can't NPS have a loft? And when I brought the idea to Laura Dietrich, our nursing supervisor, she said, that's a great idea. Why don't we include our NTA students? I said, I love it. I shared the idea with Susan, and Susan said, let's do it. So what is the NPS Loft? So the NPS Loft is a dedicated space where we're gonna have resources for our families. We're gonna have a bulletin board that's gonna list all our food pantries in the area of Norwich and other community services. And we're also gonna have clothing, shoes, hygiene essentials, some toys, winter gear, and also, again, like I said, community resources. So what are some of the stuff that we offer? As I said, again, we're gonna offer some clothing, shoes, hygiene, toys, winter gear, and community resources. Those pictures that you see there are just some of the donations that we have. So here's a picture of our NTA students. We had an orientation with them a few days ago. They were super excited. They saw the space. Some of the students had ideas of the space and how they wanted to do the bulletin boards. And we just discussed the inventory and what their day-to-day will look like. So the NPS Loft is going to be opening soon. It's not opening yet. We are working with NTA and scheduling appointments with them for them to come in and start the loft and organize the items and do the inventory. So the pictures that you see here is the book that they are going to be using to do their inventory, and the bulletin board that you see there, it has all their jobs. So we have groups of 5, and each group is separated between clothing, shoes, toys, etc. And each student could sign up for that group, and that will be their job or task. And so some of the ways that families, communities, or even staff could be involved is by donating, supporting the loft, or even sharing it. Just share with your family's community. We're accepting donations and just helping. All the principals at all the schools and the engagement and attendance coordinators at all the schools will also have access to the NPS loft. So if they have a family that needs something, they're going to be able to go to the loft and be able to provide the families with their need. Thank you.
Thank you, Yulitza.
You're welcome. Oh,
Where's the loft gonna be located?
so the loft is going to be at Bishop, at the Rose City School. Yes.
It's gonna be right in when you first walk in.
Correct.
Registration's on your left, and we have a room straight
So
back.
it's room 5. Yes, room 5. So you guys are all welcome to come see it.
So that's on the first floor.
Correct, yes.
Well, at least it's not the loft like at NFA, which is in
The basement, yes.
which I pointed out, if you're gonna call something a loft, you shouldn't be in a room that you have to look up to see somebody's shoes.
Exactly.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I know that the adult education
Mhm.
also have resources for families or people in need. And then Cindy's office, the last time I visited her, she had a lot of stuff as well. Are you planning to consolidate all of those resources into the lot, or is it still gonna be spread out throughout the schools?
So that's a great question. I know Cindy's job is different. She's FRC, so I don't know if she's gonna have something separate for the families. It's same thing for adult ed, but our NPS loft is gonna be open to all the schools in the community.
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Speaking from experience at NFA, it's made a difference with lots of families and kids, so this is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Is there any way, like, when there is a very strong need for some particular items, that you can notify everybody?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
'Cause
I will
know
either
usually
post
bring
on,
folks like to Cindy. You
Yes.
know, and she hunts around and sees who needs them. But if there's a strong need for some particular thing, you know, I would like to know about that.
I'll definitely send you an email. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're welcome. Thank you.
Last item I'm gonna share is, Mr. Kulos asked me to, make sure I had copies for everyone, for the board, for the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement response, so, a little background, a couple weeks ago, we met here at Kelly Middle School with, Chief Daly, Captain Perry, Mayor was here, and our, administrators and MLL staff. And we spoke about what would happen if Immigration and Customs Enforcement ever showed up at any of our schools. So we spoke about that with everyone, and then I met separately with the SROs. And then I was asked to follow up with, in writing with what our response would be. So everyone in front of you, I have a copy of our quick guide, and then our custom enforcement and response guidelines. All the principals will be sharing this at their, if they already haven't already, they will be sharing this with all their staff members at the schools. Most of them have already shared it with everyone, so that there's no confusion. We also have made sure that we sent out, Maria Perillo sent out numbers and to all of the front office staff, so if there's ever anything that they needed, or they didn't have to go and shuffle through paperwork. They have my phone number, our cabinet, Jamie, Bob, and Lisa, and then they also have Amber and Chelsea, their extension number, so should they ever need us, they have that information quick.
And Susan, I just wanna say, I appreciate that this quick guide is produced and being shared in our district, because it's important that we have something written, a rock solid plan, because we have concerned families within the community who wants to make sure that Norwich Public School, have a plan in place and, is not caught off guard by unexpected matters that may arise. So I appreciate that this was shared.
And I also said too that this is changing frequently, so this is a living document. It was last updated on February 5th, and we'll continue to update this as needed.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And that
concludes
your report, okay. Acting Assistant Superintendent Jamie.
Share. First, just to kind of highlight some of the reports that are in your packet. The MLL department is in the middle of their last links assessments currently, which we know is assessing our students in the areas of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. once again, as Mr. Kulos had mentioned, we had our Lunar New Year celebration that I was privileged to attend, whereby we saw lots of students and community members participating. NFA had their student troop there from their Chinese classes. It was really wonderful, and I'd like to recognize Trini Engie for as the primary organizer of the event. She should be celebrated along with all of the people that support her and with the orchestration that she puts forth to make that happen is really wonderful, and constantly needing to pivot when you have community be involved. So it was a well done job to everyone that was involved. Under the strategic.
Jamie, could you talk into the microphone?
Sure. Is it on? Very good. Okay. Under the strategic initiative helm of Patrice Marandina, we've got a renewed partnership with NFA's diversity director, Leo Butler, who, in working with Patrice, is having a student leadership group come to our middle schools, hosting 4 workshops for our students. In February, they're focusing on the Black History Month. In March, they're focusing on women's history. In April, some decision-making and transition skills and transition to high school type of learning. And then in May, they'll be talking about Haitian Flag Day. So we're really glad that we've had some renewed relationships in that department and with Patrice's coordination. In our extended learning department, we have 503 students currently participating. And as you know, our focus has been targeting students that have some absenteeism and engagement and some academic performance challenges. You can also see that the impact of not just those 503 students that are in an extended learning program that Mabel, the leader of that program, has on our school community, as you saw tonight. With that, we are digging into a new initiative for 25-26. We had, I was approached by one of board members to talk about, like, what can we do about other students that might want to participate in some after-school opportunities? And so we have a small team of aspiring administrators that have gathered. Helen Berlin, Sarah Seary, Lindsay Sheehan, who have come together to talk about how we can expand our after-school opportunities to students that may not fall in that description that we've written several of our grants around, but have a high interest in enrichment opportunities. So we're looking at a number of students that we could serve and how those students could be invited to participate, and the types of offerings that we might want to provide to them. So thank you for the notion to explore this, and I want to thank the team that I just mentioned for helping with this initiative. We are also currently working on an elementary report card redesign. The work started last month, but before that, as in our common practice, we had an open invitation to our staff to help with this work, to lift it off the ground. I met specifically with Parents with a Purpose group, which is a group of parents that meets regularly to discuss items related to our students with disabilities and to also learn and support from each other. And I wanted to hear from them as to what their perceptions were with our current report card that's given to all students to see what kind of access that they might be looking for if we were to redesign our report card. So more work is going to be done with this. We have some work to do before we close a final product. But we want you to know about this kind of long overdue project that we've had in our pockets. Any questions about those parts?
Just a quick question. Redesigning the report card or grading system?
Report card. With that, we might be exploring grading system, but that's where we're starting with.
Good place to start.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. I have Ashley Eichhorn here with me tonight, the curriculum coordinator, and as we talked about last month, we wanted to share some of our winter data. It literally is like hot off the press, before we even had to dive deeply with our administrative staff for data chat. So here we are. We're going to start off with some of our math assessments. We started this year with using the universal screener for number sense for our K to 5 math program. And you can see that, and I'm going to kind of share this with Ashley over here because she's really the one that loves to talk about this stuff. You can see that we have some increases in the area of kindergarten.
Yep, so you can see, I mean, you can see here what, it's somewhat of a confusing chart, but essentially that middle one, it talks about.
Excuse me, yeah, you really need to speak into that microphone. Thank you.
So looking at that middle chart, you can see that there's some areas of growth and some areas of decline, but this is a new assessment for us as our curriculum is also new. And so what we're also learning is what's being assessed versus what we've already taught. And so that will influence some of our curriculum work over the summer. And so grade 1, we feel, a little more confident that we're pretty spot on with what we're teaching and what we're assessing, and we've seen some nice growth there. And in grade 2, it starts to split off a little bit. So we are taking a look at our curriculum and our assessment to be sure that what we're checking in on with our kiddos, we have already taught them, so that we're not seeing declines that indicates that they're losing skills necessarily, but rather that, maybe we just haven't taught this yet. Grade 3 is definitely an area where we need to explore that curriculum as well. And again, I think I would expect that at the end of the year, we're going to see some upticks again, because once we've taught everything and assessed everything, it'll align a little bit better. But again, this will inform our curriculum work for the upper grades 3, 4, and 5. So that's our elementary math. And truthfully, this year, literacy has been a huge focus. We've had, an impact, from the state in terms of their press for literacy. And so while we've certainly been working really hard with math, it hasn't necessarily been the number one focus. So it's exciting to see that there still is some growth, even though we haven't been spending as much time or professional learning dedicated to the math space. Now, when we get into the middle school, we see here, we look at our proficiency bands, we see that we don't have as many students on grade level that we would like. We can own that. And we know that, we also have a lot of students off grade level. It doesn't mean they didn't grow, but they're still kind of qualified as their achievement as being below grade level. However, that's not exactly aligning with our math module test. So again, our math module tests are showing that there is some growth. And so in ELA, same thing, we can see that there's some growth. There's more students at grade level between the fall and the winter, but we still have some work to do in terms of getting more students on grade level in our middle school level. And so math, we're seeing similar trends in 7th grade with math in terms of this new assessment, but our math module assessments, which come after a unit, is showing that students are learning and they're growing. So we're going to explore some of the disconnect between our screener and what's happening day to day in the classroom. And so what we see here is ELA for 7th grade, again, some growth, but still worth some exploration in terms of, how we support those students who aren't quite at grade level yet, and are they still making progress even if they're not meeting grade level standards. And the trends are consistent within 8th grade as well for both math and ELA.
And again, this is a new assessment that our teachers are putting forth this year, in trying to align everything and making sure that our instruction is matching up with the tools that we're using to assess is important.
Correct. Yeah. So since this is new, we're learning from it. We're learning what we still need to do in order to leverage our best performance from our students. But here's really what we're really excited about. Again, as I mentioned earlier, literacy was our big focus. And what you see here is our growth from beginning of the year to the middle of the year. And so these are grades K1 and 2, which has been a big push from not only the state, but even just early intervention in Norwich. So you can see some tremendous growth here. You can see some decreases in students off grade level, but big increases with students on grade level when you look at the green and the blue. And we also see that in grades 3, 4, and 5. But what we're realizing about this data as we're starting to look more into it is this is actually very uncommon in a positive way. Our teachers have worked so hard this year, and I have to give a huge shout out to them and the administrators in the schools to learn a lot of new programs and platforms and curriculum. And even with all of that, the typical trend in a school district is you see a backslide with students at grade level because we're having a learning curve, with new curriculum. And that's not what's happening here. And so that's really, really exciting to see, is that even despite having to learn all of these new tools, we're still seeing tremendous and uncommon gains from our students. This is a national test, DIBELS, it's normed, and essentially what that means is Norwich is growing at a quicker rate than other schools around the country. So that is really, really exciting. And again, it's a testament to all the hard work that's happening in the schools day to day from staff and students. So we know we still have work to do. And when we, look through this is kind of the overall score, but when you look deeper, you can see some smaller subtests that happen there, which really help us pinpoint where do we want to change and adjust in our instruction so that we can continue our students to grow. So we're going to continue that positive trend through the end of the year in terms of student growth. At the middle school, we see our data here. The charts look different. It's a different platform, but we still see that there's still room to grow within the middle school. We see, unfortunately, somewhat of an upward trend of students not on grade level. It's certainly because it becomes more challenging in the winter, but it's still going to give us some pause in terms of reflection on, how does this aligning with what we're seeing in the classroom day to day? And in a lot of cases, it's not. Our students are performing pretty well day to day. So our wonder is, why are we not seeing that on these screening assessments? But we see, similar trends, grades 6, 7, and 8, with, some growth that can still happen. But again, also being sure that we're looking at the bigger picture and what student work they're producing, and that day to day is absolutely showing growth.
So that composite score, that's math and English combined?
No, composite score is there's a lot of small tests with DIBELS. So for instance, we'll check in on what letters students know. We'll check in on how they can break apart a word, and we'll check in on how many words they know per sight or by sight. And then all three of those tests would go in together to make that composite score. So we're showing you the big picture data, but a teacher would be able to break that down for a student and say, okay, they do know their letters, they can break apart a word, but what we need to work on would be the words they know by sight. So I'm showing you the big picture, but because that's what the composite score shows for all their reading, but a teacher has a lens to be able to look and say what a student needs.
So this is just the English language then?
Correct. And the USNS that we showed you, that first set of data, that was all of our math data.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, for the past couple of years, we've been focused on English as opposed to math. Math has lagged behind.
It has, and I think, there's a lot of evidence to show that really focusing on literacy even does support math. So we're seeing some of those trends, but next year we plan to do some more work that would apply to both literacy and math in terms of instruction, so that we hopefully see some bigger gains in math over time as well.
And I will share this presentation with you as I have done in the past after tonight. So I also want to share some data around our attendance. These are all the different years that look at where we have been with chronic absenteeism. The current year is this green line with the stars. That's this year. We know that we have pockets of grade levels that have higher chronic absenteeism than others. Likewise with our ethnic groups and racial groups. And the school teams, the principals lead their teams to review this data. We talk about it with our with Luz and Lisa, who lead the MLL and special education departments, to ensure that they're part of the conversations when we're talking about how do we make sure that we're reaching all of our students in terms of getting them to school on a regular basis. We have lots of initiatives to have kids attend school regularly, including making those important connections. We know that works. We know that teachers are at the helm of having their students, getting their students to want to come to school. And then we have some, really good pockets that we're seeing over time. Uncas is particularly a place that has had really good attendance over time. And even when we look at where we're at today, and I know this is a little small for you to see, but last year at this time, we were at 24.6% at chronic absenteeism, and this year, right now, we're at 21%, which is, it's an improvement. And when you look at the state level, which is at 19.1, we're talking about the entire state, including districts that don't have the same need as we do in Norwich. So while, like in every facet of our district where we have improvements, I think that we are making strides, and together as an administrative team, we'll be kind of diving into this tomorrow a little bit more deeply. We noticed that 6 schools, just in the last couple of weeks, because we look at it that frequently, have improved their attendance rates over time, and you can see that in Patrice's report. When we look at a couple years ago, we're 9.25% better than we were about this time. So I think, we're going to look at some celebrations in those pockets that we have. And as I mentioned before, with Uncas, with their average daily attendance rate of 93.9, that's pretty remarkable. So it shows us that it can be done. And then discipline. So when we talk about a question, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, going back, does the absenteeism include excused absences for students who've been sick? Okay, because it's been really hard.
Oh, lately, yes.
Like,
Illness has been rampant, and we know this. We want sick children to get better and to be healthy, and but it's a part of school. We have lots of human beings in these buildings, and so viruses are going to spread quickly, and we know that this is the time, winter, so we do take that into consideration. So.
Because I saw that you were in the 17, 18. So, thank you.
Yep. It would be great to get back to pre-COVID numbers for sure. And some discipline data for you. Here you can see across the months of in-school suspensions and out-of-school suspensions comparatively to the 23-24 school year. We also see some pockets of improvement there. We're always trying to meet our students where they are, teaching the skills that they need to address those many life challenges that they ultimately will face. However, sometimes consequences are issued due to disciplinary policy violations. And, of note in this data, while we're, over 100 days into the school year, we are seeing a decline in the overall trend of out-of-school suspensions in most parts, and significantly declining in the in-school suspensions at the 8th grade level for Kelly, as you can see. But just like with academic data that you saw today with our screeners and our one-offs, same thing with our discipline data, it's suspensions, but there's so much more that goes into helping students succeed academically, behaviorally, emotionally, that you might not glean from looking at suspension data. And I will say, that the overall climate and culture of our middle schools has definitely been at the helm of our administrative teams. Systems and expectations are put into place, and sometimes when those happen, when it's more new, you might see an uptick a little bit. But overall, there are systems and expectations put into both middle schools, and I'm really proud of Brandy and her team and Ed and his team for the important work being done around that.
You can see it on a board level, the most severe cases, we rarely have had an expulsion hearing this year.
Right. Yep. Yes, and that is a celebration, and that, that's not just, that's school, but it's also community. You know, we know that our expulsions are really for those infractions that are pretty significant, so.
I think that speaks to the middle school teachers, administration, and how they're putting like wraparound services with a lot of our students
Yes,
that need that, so.
yes.
That's steady people now, right? I mean, and consequences, you know, and I mean, just having people in there that are going to be there. They had so much upheaval. Now it's nice that everything is just,
Yeah.
you know what to expect when they walk in the door.
Consistency.
Yep. So any questions that we can answer for you now, but certainly when I send this out to you, if you have any follow-up questions, wonders, concerns, you are welcome to email me.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, when you're sending out the PowerPoint for the universal screener as well as the book, can you provide like a brief summary of what each of the assessments are
Sure.
evaluating?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, of course, if the kids are in school, I mean, as attendance improves, your scores are gonna improve because they're physically there, they're absorbing more.
Right.
So that's really the secret, get them in the seat.
Only because we've just started implementing these two screeners, we don't have any comparison data from last year that, so.
Right.
Just need to monitor.
Okay. Thank you.
I know that Lisa's not here. Is anyone going to summarize her report? Or we'll just take it from what's been presented so far? It's there, so we'll.
I think one of the celebrations is that we have 9, almost 10 students at our new Rose City School. We have 2 elementary classrooms. And then next year we will have 2 middle school classrooms at it. So that's really
I'm
good
sorry,
news.
what was
We
that
have-
last
we have
part?
9, almost 10 students at Rose City School. So we have 2 classrooms of elementaries, age K through 5. And next year we'll have 2 middle school programs there, 2 middle school classrooms.
Have we had more response from neighboring districts
We
at
have
all?
2 students right now, and possibly 1 more from neighboring districts in the school.
And we really sold that program for the listening tour last Monday. The legislators, they really concentrated laser focus on that program. And I think that's really the way to go, because if you concentrate on excess costs, you've got to spend 4.5 times your money before you see $1 from excess cost. Whereas if we put those students into Rose City School, our savings are immediate from, the first dollar we spend. It's a savings in our account.
And all around, just better for the child and the family and everything,
Absolutely.
keeping them in town and their community.
All right, so as I said before, we'll take the written report that was submitted for the Director of Student Services, and we'll move on to the report of the Business Administrator.
Good evening. I do have a slideshow, but it's only one slide. And I do apologize for the percent change that did not format correctly.
One slide, that's it.
One slide, but there's a lot of information on that slide. As you all know, the governor released his proposed budget for FY 25-26. And if we look at the statewide budget battle, the governor fires his first shot, and this is it. I will say with a high degree of certainty, this will not be the budget we end up with. So there's a few things that I want to focus in on. If you look at the bottom number, the total revenue reduction to the city, excluding ECS, is almost $3.5 million. And that will be very impactful if that stays. 2 main components of that is the pilot program, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes, and the motor vehicle reimbursement tax credit, if so to speak. You look up at the ECS formula, and we're slated to get a little over a $2 million increase that would flow into the Alliance grant. I will say this about Governor Lamont, the $2 million increase to ECS, along with the decrease to motor vehicles, is not because he's benevolent and likes us or punishing us. Those are strictly formulistic numbers. That's what comes out of the formula. So just like we're slated to get a $2 million increase, there are many districts slated to get decreases. So when that happens, those legislative leaders in those communities fight to keep the money that's slated to lose. But from our perspective, I would much rather be in a situation of having to fight to keep what we have than to fight to get something that we don't have. So we're hopeful that the $2 million will come through in the Alliance grant. Our legislators, our local legislators, Darrell Wilson and Kathy Austin, also have a bill that's in the legislative committee right now. It's called House Bill 5823. And in that bill, they're proposing that Norwich receive $2 million for early child care, pre-care education. The governor's made two priorities in his budget. One is special education costs and early child care education. So there is some degree of hope at this point that we might see that money come. It's going to be a long process. Legislative session ends June 4th, so I'm quite certain that it's going to go back and forth after the governor's budget comes out. You'll see budget proposals by the Democratic side of the legislature. You'll see counter proposals by the Republicans. You'll see all the information comes in, and then the Appropriations Committee makes a budget recommendation, and then in the end, we'll end up with something. So I'm pretty certain that it's going to be a while before we have a district budget, because this legislation is so impactful to the city and us. In the governor's budget, he's proposed adding $40 million for excess costs, and then on the surface, that seems like a great thing. But his proposal has no money coming in for 25-26. That's slated to happen in year 2 of his budget. And based on the numbers that were floating around in the committee meeting we went to last week, currently the state excess cost fund is underfunded by $100 million. So it's a good start, but it's nowhere near enough money. We need the money now, not 2 years from now. The governor's also proposing $14 million in bonding to fund school districts that create in-house programs. So as Susan mentioned, that's one of the things we've done with Rose City Schools. So that might give us a leg up on funding to enhance that type of activity. So I think that's it for this slide. If you have any questions on this, then if not, I'll move on. Okay, regarding the 24-25 current budget, in your packet there's an estimate that we'll have a $300,000 to $500,000 deficit. You've heard me speak in past meetings, the driving forces behind that. There were two primary causes. One was the rising cost of special education costs, coupled with the state's continually underfunding and not living up to their commitment. As Susan mentioned, this year's excess cost reimbursement rate is 64.19%. Based on recent legislation, we should be reimbursed at 91%. The difference to the district between 91% and 64.19% is $879,000. So if the state simply paid us what they should, we wouldn't be having conversations about deficits. We'd be having a small surplus. So it's very frustrating when that continues. As Susan mentioned, we entered into a budget freeze on Monday, and this is the 3rd consecutive year. So we're doing everything that we can to mitigate those circumstances and hopefully not end up in a deficit situation at all. We don't like doing things like that, but we really don't have a choice. We're going to do everything that we can to avoid that. Just some key measures within the operating budget, when we look at all salaries, which include certified salaries, non-certified salaries, overtime, other pay, was estimated to be $300,000 under budget. And that includes the expenses associated with the administrative investigation. So on a salary side, we're doing very well. Looking at that, those are the highlights. We'll continually monitor the budget. We do, from a payroll standpoint, every 2 weeks. So I think that about sums up where we stand from a 24-25 standpoint. I'd be glad to take any questions you have related to that.
Just wanted to just add to, I didn't mention before, I meant to with the transportation, is that in order to mitigate the $300,000 to $500,000 deficit that it looks to be, is that we're still continuing to work with First Student, and we're gathering data. We're trying to combine some buses so that we can, get some savings there to help with that $300,000 to $500,000 deficit. So if we continue, I think that's, the transportation is one of the highest budget lines, so we're really looking to save some money there. So between this year we're trying to, and next year, we met with First Student 2 weeks ago, and we're exploring various ideas, and we'll continue meeting next week. We actually have a meeting this Thursday, and when we last met, Bob was there, Jamie, and we gave them some ideas on how we think that we can decrease the amount of buses that we need next year, and they're going to come back with us, to us, and give us what they think the savings will be, to include the middle schools and how they're no longer magnet schools, so we don't have to have buses passing each other. So that should also give us significant savings for next year. So we're continuing to look into that with First.
And then just to dovetail on what Mark spoke about, last Tuesday, we went to the Select Committee on Special Education's meeting at Thames Three Rivers Community College. It's the first of 4 meetings that that panel is having around the state. The panel consisted of 6 state senators and representatives, and Kathy Austin was a member of that panel. They asked us good questions. I think we gave them good answers. So the one thing I do know is state spending on special educations and the impact it is having on communities is a hot topic in the legislative body. So I'm hopeful that something comes out of all of these meetings that they do have. On the ECS formula, maybe next month I'll spend a little time explaining how the calculation comes about, but one measure that they've talked about tweaking is adding in a factor to adjust the ending number to take into consideration special education costs. What ends up happening is the number comes out of the special education formula, I mean the excess cost formula, and then the politicians start tweaking it and making adjustments, and that's one way they come up with a final number. So it's going to be a 3-month wait and see, and please, if you have time, contact your legislators, send emails, send letters, anything you can do. The public support is more than welcome. Any questions?
Okay, let's go on to unfinished business. We have a couple of action items. These would be second reads on policies. The first item, 9.1, we've combined, we've got here 4 policies in one. Basically, those are just minor changes to certain policies, legal changes. If I could get a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve the updates to existing policies, number 1000, number 4112.2, number 4151.6, -4252.6, and number 4131.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on any of those policies? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Very good, thank you. Next item, 9.2, that's the approval of a new policy, 5549. This is the welcoming immigration and refugee communities and protection of undocumented students. I look at this basically as an extension of our visitor policy. We have an existing visitor policy, and we're just restating it for law enforcement, for ICE officials particularly, just to prevent disruption to our students in school. Of course, we'll comply with any federal requirements if there is, judicial warrants or exigent circumstances which require for ICE to enter the building and pursue someone, we would comply. But as you can see, the superintendent gave out the action sheets. And those are basically holding procedures until the liaison can be made, that the police department would come on in, and the local police, Norwich Police, and liaise with the ICE officers, and they would take over the interplay between ICE, if it is ICE that comes in, and our students. Okay,
Now, I have a question.
sure.
Is there a copy of like the Norwich Police Department's protocols and how they handle this situation?
They
Or
haven't
are
given,
we just-
they haven't given us anything in writing, but when we met with Captain Perry and the chief of police, Chief Daly, we went over everything on should anyone show up, that we would call the police department, or if it's at the middle school, we have an SROs at each middle school, and they would be there to assist, to look at whatever warrant that they had. They would help us and assist us with it.
That's what they're there to help assist with, the
Yes.
warrants, because you.
So,
no
because
one
it's
in the
hard to.
Administration is qualified to.
We're not, so that's why they have to, yes, good question, so that's why they have to go to the superintendent and
I
then.
wanted to make sure, but I also just wanna I'll just put my opinion out there real quick. I don't think ICE agents are coming here after our students. Let's be real, they're coming after the criminals and the gang members that have been traveling over our border for the last 4 years. So I would really like to stop the fear mongering and let everyone know that we promise that to do what we've always done, protect our students and make sure that they are safe, and we will follow every letter of the law.
I would like to say something also. I'm just concerned a little bit about some of the verbiage in this, like that Susan is encouraged to increase and enhance partnerships with community-based organizations, legal service organizations, etc. I don't think it's our staff's job to aid and abet anyone who is possibly here illegally. We don't know their backgrounds, etc. We had that shooting in Taffield? No, yeah. Members of the Ecuadorian army, one shot another one, and right in a busy area where other kids could have easily been injured. So I don't think it's our job to offer assistance when we don't know their backgrounds, we don't know their situation.
The bottom line
So I
is
just
our
don't
job
think
is
it's
to
our
educate
job.
students
We have all these social service agencies downtown,
everywhere.
numerous ones, to help people, to help them.
To find help.
And that's my concern.
But what we're saying is that we would like to see our school administration more concentrate on educating our students and let the other departments in the city do what they're supposed to do, but we should not be giving people red cards that have been handed out in schools. My daughter in New London got it, and it's basically telling you, you don't have to do this, it's basically teaching our students not to follow the law. The rules are the rules because they're the rules, and we have to start following them. One for all, everyone. We shouldn't be encouraging to go around the law. That's just because and I feel that way because we're supposed to be teaching education. That's what we are qualified to do.
And protecting children.
God forbid we
And we do
jeopardize
protect them when they are in our school. We do.
You're absolutely
We
correct.
never let any visitors in our school. We don't even let parents in our school. It's like pulling teeth to get a parent's permission. You really think that we're just gonna oh yeah, open the doors, ICE is here. But the mom who's coming to pick up her kid who's puking has to wait outside for 20 minutes until he comes to the door. Like let's be real. It's been 2 weeks since things like this have been said. Has ICE agents shown up at any schools in Connecticut? No. It's called fear. It's fear mongering, and it should stop. We gotta open up our eyes and look and see exactly what's going on. We want to protect every student. Every student has that right. Absolutely. I am all for the children, but I am not for illegal criminals coming over our border and posing as good people, and that is what has been happening. We have to be real, we have to look into it, and we have to follow the letter of the law while continuing our policy, which already prevents anyone from coming into our school without proper identification. Thank you.
Can I just note, I heard your concern in terms of district personnel being able to provide like a referral. Like if a family member was experiencing housing insecurity or food insecurity, we would provide a referral to a service agency.
But
that's debatable. We shouldn't.
It's a little different than giving them legal resources.
We don't give legal advice.
Well, if we're giving.
If you're giving red cards like the
We are
card my
not-
daughter got in New London from a
We are-
teacher,
we're not-
then you are giving that.
We're not giving out.
Consultation.
Right now, you're not,
We're
but
not
I'm
at
just
all.
saying, what is happening in one town can very easily be happening in this town as well.
We
And
control-
I have confidence that our teachers are not going to break the law. I think they're smart enough on their own. I don't really think we really need to do any of this because I have no doubt in any of our teachers at this school. But I'm just saying, there has been issues in other schools, and once again, I'm trying to be proactive because that is considered aiding and abetting, and it has been said that people will be punished and held to the maximum of the law. I would hate to see someone thinking they're doing something for the right reasons and being punished.
So Heather, if you look at the sheets that I handed out, it does show that we are following all the laws in there.
I did, but that's why I had a question with, I wanted to understand why the Norwich Police Department and you clarified that question for me. I mean, I just wanted to basically say my two piece to the community to let them know that maybe turn off the TV and watch what's going on with your own eyes and you'll be amazed.
I agree with you 100% on what we're supposed to do and how we do it. And fear mongering, I attended that seminar on immigration downtown last week, and there are a lot of people in this community that are scared and that are afraid.
And I understand that.
Yes, and all this is to reassure people that their children are safe coming to school.
Okay,
And
but
that
who
is
reassured me, an American citizen, that my children are safe going to school if we don't know who they are? I'm sorry, but my son had to wait 10 days because I didn't have a birth certificate. I had to wait until I got one, and he could not start school because he was born in and out of state. But we have illegals you can't require documentation from them. There are gray areas, and I hate to see at this one time trying to protect someone's rights, also not doing the best we can for our American students who were born here, who are here legally, and I am all for the immigration process. My family is from Portugal. We were not born here. We didn't just get plopped here. We came here. We immigrated here legally, and we made our way and our name. That's what America is built on. But we have to be honest. Our country has been infiltrated with an open border for a while. And we have to protect all students. And I'm not saying, I don't think any of our students are bad. I don't think ICE is gonna show up at our schools. But in our neighborhoods, there's some legal legal activity going on. I see it firsthand from where I live, and it needs to be talked about and addressed. And it cannot always just be protect the kids, but you're not protecting them outside of school. When they're walking down the street, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So let's be, like, we have to look at everything. What I'm saying is, like, with gun violence that's going on in our community, because I know you're looking at me crazy, like, people are getting shot, drugs are rampant in our city, and it all comes from an open, we've had some very bad crap coming in. We've had some great people come in, but we've also had some garbage come in that's unsafe for our communities. So we have to look at both sides of the fence. It's not a black and white. There's a lot of gray area in here, and we need to realize that. And I am done.
Sure.
Yes, Kevin.
And again, I just want to reiterate from I mentioning when Susan spoke about meeting with the community leaders from Norwich Police Department, the SROs, the principals of each of our schools, that again, I am appreciative that we as Norwich Public School have a solid foundation in place so that it's clear to the community that our district has something written that they could look into when a matter arises, if it arises in our community. So specifically speaking for Norwich Public Schools, you know, this is you know, great that we have this in place while other school communities do not or are still working on it. So I just want to reiterate that to the public.
And I'll also note that Willimantic, New London have had these similar type of policies on their books for several years now, so. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Did we have? We didn't have a motion yet. Okay, that's what I was just asking. Okay, and can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve policy number 5549, welcoming immigration and refugee communities and protection of undocumented students.
I will second that motion.
Okay, motion's been first and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, so it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Very good. Motion passes. Okay. Next, we go to committee reports.
We're missing one.
Oh, we have one more?
9.3.
Oh, that's right, the deletion. Okay, the next one is the deletion. Kevin, if you wanna just, well, let's get a motion on the floor for that first. Delete the policy.
Yes, motion to delete the policy number 4115, increasing educator diversity plan.
Okay, and could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and now, just want to briefly touch on that, Kevin?
Yep, so for the discussion piece, I just wanna read something that was sent to us by Shipman and Goodwin regarding the increasing educator diversity plan. As read, Connecticut General Statute Section 10-22A requires each Board of Education to develop and implement a written increasing educator diversity plan. Shipman and Goodwin formerly maintained a model plan for boards of education, but discontinued its model plan in 2024 due to changes in the law. Pursuant to Section 10 of Public Act 23-167, each Board of Education was required to submit its increasing educator diversity plan to the Commissioner of Education by March 15, 2024 for review and approval and implement such approved plan for the school year commencing July 1st, 2024. As part of this process, the Connecticut State Department of Education issued resources and FAQs to assist Board of Education in creating and implementing plans that are customized for their districts. The CDE, again, that's the Connecticut State Department of Education, also required boards of education to submit their customized plans in accordance with a template, which included components such as the district's vision and theory of action for increasing educator diversity. As such, Shipman and Goodwin no longer maintains a model increasing educator diversity plan, but is available to provide legal advice on a case-by-case basis to school districts requesting guidance regarding their obligations under state and federal law in creating and implementing their plans. So that's the reasoning from Shipman and Goodwin why this deletion of the policy is happening tonight.
So essentially what happened was that the state passed a law which superseded our policy.
Correct.
So we no longer need that policy. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, the policy has now been deleted. Now we move on to committee reports. Okay, Budget Expenditure Committee, we've been meeting, our next meeting will be on February 19th at 6 o'clock via Zoom. And I believe that meeting will discuss salary and benefits and the overall plan. Next one is the ad hoc budget committee. Well, those meetings will be determined by our adoption of a budget. The negotiation committee, again, those negotiations are to be determined. Our next group to meet with will be the administrative assistants. School building committee, do you want to cover that, Christine, or?
No, there's a nice excerpt here, regarding what's going on in our meetings next week. So right now, it's pretty much just getting all the paperwork in order and for all this, things that have to be submitted to the state, which is an arduous process to say the least. So,
And, yeah, and what
still
we're,
hoping to get some models in the next couple of months.
yeah,
hopefully.
and what we're working on now is selecting a construction manager for the Moriarty and Uncas school projects. Which brings us to transportation. Greg?
I have nothing to report beyond what we've already shared about the work that they're doing with first students.
Can I ask a quick question? Since the Walker policy is coming to an end at the end of next month, I don't know if the transportation committee is planning to meet just to reassess whether or not this is a policy that we might want to continue for the remainder of the year. I know it's supposed to end at the end of March, so I just wanted to have that as an agenda item for your next meeting for discussion. Thank you.
So I missed that. So have you had a chance to have a meeting yet?
No, we have not discussed
Right.
that, so we'll have to discuss whether or
Yeah.
not to.
Continue or discontinue that Walker policy.
Okay, policy, Kevin?
The policy committee has not met recently, but we have a scheduled meeting February 25th via Zoom at 4 p.m.
Okay.
It's the same day as.
Board reports, IBTS, anything to report, Greg?
Yeah. Okay, so for IDCS, there is a boys group that just started up in January, which has about 20 students in it, funded by a grant from the Center for Justice and Education, working with the middle school students on self-esteem and setting and entrepreneurship. This is Kindness Week this week, and the school is participating in a lot of important and fun activities that were developed by the student council related to that. Robotics Club is just been started up. One of the science teachers there got a grant from the US Navy Undersea Warfare Center in Newport to give them some equipment and some guidance and some funding, and they're hoping to be able to compete next year. This year it's a startup program. They held a legislative breakfast on January 15th, which was well attended by local legislators, and Susan Lassard was there as well. It was a chance for some of the people at the school and students to give speeches about the school and some of the things that they were doing, and also have conversations with legislators about legislation that would affect our school. The last meeting had a lot of updates from facilities about various improvements, to fences, to the parking lot, updates about the Mason building that was bought recently, HVAC, inspections, elevator. That was a good portion of time spent on a lot of the things IDCS is doing for improving their facilities. There is a program beginning this month called Sunny Side Up. It's a substance abuse prevention program that they are partnering with Norwich Youth and Family Services to begin. Oh, actually begins in March. And next week, on Thursday, Business After Hours by the Greater Norwich Area Chamber of Commerce will be held at IDCS at 5:30. And lastly, they are partnering with Project Outreach at NFA to get student volunteers to come to the school to help with homework club, the robotics club, some of the sports that will be starting up in the spring, and some other activities just to try to build a connection with the school and the high school. The next board meeting is next Wednesday, the 19th. Rolling into Learn. I couldn't attend the Learn meeting this past month, so what I have here was just taken from reading through the minutes and the reports that were there. There was a good amount of information I found important in the personnel and vacancies. There was discussion about how they review the retention and the attrition of their staff. They currently have 47 vacancies, which is lower than it has been, and 6 people currently in the hiring process. There was a good amount of discussion about the restructuring of the Learn schools in this area. Again, I think I mentioned this last month, but the Friendship School is transitioning to add kindergarten next year, where RMMS, the remote magnet school, will be grades 3 through 8 only. And they've kind of played out over how the next 3 years, there's going to be a restructuring of a magnet pathway that students would go through. But it's gonna take a couple years for that to be created. I can't give a lot more details, but it seemed, I wish I could get more information. The executive director gave a mid-year review, but that wasn't available. The details of that were not available in the notes for me to access. And then there was a number of policy updates as well.
Okay. Just going back to IDCS, did they apply for, or were they given a grant to help in the construction for the Mason building?
Yes, they previously were not eligible for those grants because of not being a public school, but there was some work with legislators to make that happen, make them eligible so that they can incorporate that building into the school.
Okay. And NFA, I missed the January meeting due to a conflict, and their February meeting is actually tonight. So it's at the same time as our meeting. We have had regular contact with NFA, however, they've updated us on their tuition projections for next year. And they're always looking for host families for foreign students. I know they just posted a picture. They hosted for 2 weeks a group of students from China and a couple of other countries to come to the school and follow students around. And hopefully that's part of their recruiting effort. The next one is the Norwich Public Schools Education Foundation. Again, that meeting was last Monday. I was at the disability, the special ed hearing. And for that, they were determining the spring grants. So those should be coming out very shortly as far as who got them. And I believe we said something like 2,500 was going to be given this year to this spring to schools. Okay. You have additional reports, budget update, the enrollment, and personnel. I just want to mention, I saw in the personnel report that our athletic director, Lou Allen, is going to be resigning the end of June. Retiring. Again.
No.
So he's successfully started our middle school sports program, gave it a good kick in the butt, and
We'll be doing something special.
we'll be doing something special for him. And he's well loved in our school community, and we'll miss him greatly. Okay. Brings us to the motion to adjourn. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make one comment.
Sure.
About the winter music concert here at Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was just wonderful, wonderful. And I was so proud of the kids. I mean, a lot of kids. I forget what the total number that participated was, but they were so orderly and well behaved on the stage, and just their presentation was just wonderful. You could tell our music teachers are working very diligently, but it was wonderful, and very well attended by parents and other family members and friends. So it was just something to be very proud of, and so another sign of bringing back music, how important it is that we have it back in our schools. That's it.
Okay, good.
Carleen, motion to adjourn.
All right, and could I have a second? Heather seconds, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
February